We are rural women. We are strong. We're ambitious. We're leaders. And we inspire. Some of us are mothers and caregivers, partners, workers and community members, friends. And we don't do it alone. We seek community, connection, and representation of people like us. 100 Rural Women plants that seed. We aim to cultivate a community that empowers rural women and lifts one another up. Welcome to our Spotlight series, where we interview amazing women who are making a difference for rural communities across Minnesota, because we believe that women like you deserve a spotlight. Okay, so welcome back to our Spotlight series. I'm so excited to have one of our board members here with us today. I'm with Erica Bjelland, and we're just going to learn more about one of the women that's making the decisions for our organization. So Erica, I'm going to hand it off to you right away. If you want to just start by telling us about yourself and what you do for work, your education, and your connection to rural.
Sure. Yeah, thanks for having me. This is so fun. My name is Erica Bjelland, as Alexis said. And until a few months ago, I was living in Brainerd, Minnesota, in central Minnesota, and working for the Region 5 Development Commission. I loved it, great place, doing a lot of community engagement and energy and environment work there. But my partner just got a new job and just moved to Boulder County in Colorado, and I'm working with the county on land use projects. So it's been a change. I'm still working in rural places in the wider county, but it's definitely a different type of rural work here than what I was doing in Minnesota. So just recently had that big change. As Lexa said, I'm a board member. I first got involved with 100 Rural Women when I met Teresa Kittredge, the founder, at an event in the Brainerd area. And she just pitched me the idea. And with one of the other board members, Rachel Urich, she was like, hey, do you want to be part of this? And we said, sure, and didn't know what we were doing, and started a leadership exchange in the Brainerd area, which was really fun. So been involved ever since, and I've loved to see how this whole idea has evolved and gotten to involve a lot more people. So yeah.
Yeah, and going back to your leadership exchange project, I feel like that's something that I actually don't really know that much about. Could you talk about it a little bit and what you guys did and what you found from the project?
Yeah, it was really fun. So we reached out to a bunch of different women in the area that we knew, some younger women that we had just known who maybe just starting their careers, and then some women that are like big leaders in the community. And the idea was to pair people with someone who's been in the workforce a longer time and had more experience, and then a person that maybe was newer to the workforce, and then having there be an exchange between both of those. So not just like a traditional mentorship, like I'm gonna give you all of the information I know, but also that we can learn from each other. So each person was paired with someone else, and then they met on their own together. And then we also had some bigger group meetings as well. And we actually started that, I think January or February of 2020. So it evolved very quickly into something else, which was great and a new challenge in itself. But that was the idea behind all of that. So
Yeah, and that work really set the foundation for some of the work that we're doing now, almost 2 years later. So it's really, really cool to see that and to learn more about that. And I hope that those people that did that exchange and leadership exchange are still in contact or still kind of remember what they learned from that. So that's a really cool part of 100 Rural Women, I think. So what drives you to want to work for rural and in rural communities?
yeah, I I kind of think it just happened to me, but I grew up in a small town in Iowa. I went to school near Fargo, North Dakota, and then, right out of school, I started working in Bacchus, Minnesota, which is a little bit north of Brainerd. So my first job out of school was in rural, and then from there, it's just kind of kept going. And what I've really enjoyed about working in rural places is that it seems like people are ready to go try new things. I I think just because people know each other and know who they're working with, sometimes it's just like, well, yeah, let's try that instead of overthinking it always maybe or anything like that. I think people are just willing to try things from what I've learned. Um, and I love that connection to community. I felt like I knew so many people around me and really got to invest in the community when I was in rural Minnesota. And now being in a new place too, starting over, trying to make those connections too. I know it's difficult, but it's also fun because there's so many eclectic rural places that are so different from each other, but so like close in proximity. And I found that here as well. So yeah.
Um, that's great to hear. I love that perspective and that element of community for sure. I think that's something that I've seen a lot working in a rural organization. And I think there's a piece of that that is super special and unique to rural. But you also added in that you are starting over, kind of. So I feel like that's something that must come with some discouragements. Can you tell us about it? Doesn't necessarily have to be from this time in your life, but a time that you were discouraged and how you overcame it?
Mm, yeah. Yeah, well, I'll first share just about like moving to a new area of rural, I think is it's always hard when people know each other so well to like insert yourself into a new place that has people with really deep roots in places. So that is like the new challenge of figuring out where you belong in the community and everything too. Um, but I think some something that comes up to me of like when I was discouraged and overcame it was actually related to 100 Real Women right at the beginning of the pandemic. Still a relatively new organization. And like I said, we had been doing this leadership exchange in person and had plans to do a bunch of other meetings in person all around. And then we had to quickly adapt and be like, well, how are we going to connect with people? And that was the whole goal online, and will it be as meaningful? And I think as everyone kind of found out that if you're really intentional about it, and I really loved the way 100 Real Women approached it as far as like leaving time for informal conversation and one-on-one connection as part of like bigger meetings. If you're intentional about it, you still can be able to make good connections and yeah, have it be effective. And I was going to add to and reduce barriers of travel, which is like a big issue in a lot of rural places. So yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. And in getting through these, I think what you said about 100 Row Women was a good avenue for that. Can you tell us about someone or something that has been an inspiration to you?
Mm. Yeah, this is such a good question, and I feel like I could list so many people, and almost all of them are related to 100 Real Women that have been inspirations to me. My previous boss, Cheryl Hills, was a really big inspiration. She's been really involved in 100 Real Women. Teresa is an inspiration. Teresa Kittredge, founder of 100 Real Women. I've had some previous bosses and coworkers too, um, and I'm having trouble picking just one person because I think they've because they were in a similar place of Minnesota and all sort of connected together. All of them together had something like unique that really impacted me, especially as a young person in a rural place, being able to all of the women I named that didn't name were allowed me to try new things, which was really cool, and I don't think always the case in a bigger city where there's more people and it's harder to move up the ladder, if that's the right term at all, but I think all of these women separately allowed me to try new things, like Teresa, for example, being like, "Hey, do you wanna do this leadership exchange?" And we were like, we don't know what we're doing," and figured it out along
Yep,
the
classic
way.
Teresa.
Yeah. Yeah, but it ended up being great, and then
Yeah.
she supported us along the way, and that's been my experience with almost all the leaders I've had in that Brainerd area in general, so, yeah.
Well, thank you so much. I have one more question for you,
Okay.
and that is if you could give one piece of advice to your former self, what would it be and why?
Yeah. I I think it would be just keep trying new things, even if it seems scary and unknown, and kind of not always go for things that make you scared, but also like try to a lot of the things that make you scared because they ended up not really being that scary. I always had a lot of doubt going into so many things, and then found out that there was always people around me to support me, to answer questions that I had, and wanted to see me succeed. So yeah, I would say just keep going for it and try to find the connections and the people along the way that really want to see you succeed, and then you will, most likely.
Great advice. Well, thank you so much for your time today, Erica. I'm really excited for our community here to get to know you better and get to be knowing our board. And we're really happy to have you as one of our big decision makers and just a part of the team here. So, yeah, thank you.
Yeah.